The following program contains language that may not be suitable for listeners of all ages. Listener discretion is advised.
Well, hello, this is the Old Man Rambling here. We're going to make this podcast exclusive to the folks over at YouTube. And the music you're hearing here on this podcast tonight is from the fine folks over at purple-planet.com. Purple-planet.com, one place for all your sound files. And the name of this tune is Nuclear Fusion. I've been told on previous podcasts that I have a tendency to let the music play too long, and people are annoyed by that. Well, that's okay. It's okay to be annoyed. So I've done at least 25 podcasts that I can remember in the past, and I figured that I would let the other ones lay to rest and start a new one. It is 3/14/2024, and I'm getting used to this software and everything that I'm using here for this podcast. So I'm trying to figure out exactly where the microphone needs to be so there's no pop. And I'm going to have a hell of a time with it, so there may be a tendency where you hear some pop, and we'll work that out as time goes by. Let me see. Hold on a second before we go any further. I think I might have found this. No, I was going to say I think I might have found the sweet spot for the microphone, but apparently not. It likes to droop. So that's it right there. There's the sweet spot. So anyway, good evening. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Timothy Pate, and this is the Old Man Rambling podcast. No, I'm not very old. I'm only 50. I turned 50 in December. And I figured I would start a new podcast here and see where it goes, and hopefully everybody loves it. And it's a little bit before 10 o'clock here on a Thursday night. I work Monday through Friday. Well, actually, hold on. Let me take that back. I work Friday through Tuesday at a resort in the city of Marietta, California here. And what I do is, it's pretty simple. What I do is I am a guy, I'm a housekeeping, what would you call me, Dylan?
Housekeeping aid or
Housekeeping, anyway. So the name of it is a public areas person. And I have a few people on my crew, and I just go around at night and I make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to at a beautiful resort located in Marietta, California. It's been there for 100+ years in the city of Marietta. And let me start off with the following. I used to work for a company, and I won't use the company's name. I worked there for almost 7 years. And I went to work one day in January and was told they don't need me anymore. They laid me off, and I put an application in on Indeed for the job, and I was called back about 3-4 days later, and I was offered an interview, had an interview with two fine people over there at the company, and they called me back and said, well, when do you want to start? And I was hired. And about 6 days later, I was offered a supervisor's job. And here I am working and enjoying. It's not a bad job. It's a company that took the resort over, was owned for about 30 years by the Calvary Chapel Christian School. And this other company took it over and have kind of breathed life back into it. And it's a pretty cool job. It's not a very hard job. but it definitely keeps you on your toes, especially when you don't have your whole crew there to help you out. So I'm kind of jack of all trades when it comes to that, answering the radio and doing guest requests. Say a guest says, "Hey, I would like a ice bucket and some wine glasses," and so on and so on and so on. So also wanted to remind you folks that I do use profanity. So if you are offended by profanity, you may not want to listen any further, but I will try to keep it as PG as possible in the first, I think it's like 5 minutes. If you use profanity, YouTube will not monetize your podcast. They'll demonetize you. So, and there's no video yet. I don't know if I want to do video yet or not. I'm still undecided, but we may do video at a later point. I should say I may do video at a later point because at the moment it's just me doing the podcast. And I picked up some new stuff for the podcast, a new interface, a brand new microphone. And so far it sounds good, but again, I'm still trying to find the sweet spot. I do have a pop filter that I need to put on here, maybe back further on the mic. But I figured I would just do this the first few days or first podcast just to test it out and see how it goes. So what else can I say about me? I've got 4 kids. They're all adults. My youngest is about to turn 20. My oldest is 25, and I'm a single dude. And what else? I love metal. I love death metal. I still try to be a kid at heart, but I do realize I'm old. So yeah, that's me. Anyway, I wanted to bring up for the first time on this podcast because this is my first time doing the podcast. So one of the things that, again, it's old man rambling, so I am rambling. Let me remind you something. To all of you 18 through 20-something kids listening to my voice, I am not a boomer. I'm not a boomer. My mother and father would be boomers. I'm a Generation X guy. I was born in 1973. I'm the last of a decaying group of individuals. I am 50 years old, so I'm not a boomer. Boomers are, after World War II. I'm not a boomer. Mom and Dad were boomers, so remember that. I'm not a boomer. So here in the United States, there's a big deal going on right now, and it's something that my 23-year-old son and I were talking about earlier as we were coming back from the Dollar General store. And it's kind of why I was hoping that he would have joined me on the podcast because, for a guy his age, he's a pretty fucking smart guy. Here in the United States, we have an application that people are fucking obsessed with. And I'll admit to you first and foremost that I was utterly addicted to this application. It's called TikTok. There's a little bit of everything on this application. Now, when I first started using the app about a year, I started using the app in 2021. I used it every day. And I was uploading videos of me in amateur radio. And this was a little before everybody and their mother was uploading videos about amateur radio. And I don't want to say I became TikTok famous, but I've got quite a few videos on there, and I haven't deleted them yet. I am guilty of going on and messaging people and saying hi and how are you. And believe it or not, I had a pretty successful run of podcast over on Spotify and on their other app that they have that used to be called Anchor. Now it's called Spotify for podcasters. But I was on there quite a bit, and I loved it. I had a lot of fun tinkering around with it, and had a couple of guys on. But I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the reality of, my reality. Because my reality may be different than somebody that's in their early 20s and wants to call me a boomer. Again, I'm not a boomer. One of the things that I really, really, really was trying to express to certain people on the app itself, why is TikTok such a bad thing for America? Well, first and foremost, in case you forgot, every single thing that you own in your home, with the exception of maybe one or two things, is built in communist China. China's a communist country. And the information that is exchanged from TikTok, from you, every time you go on and you click an ad or you watch somebody's video, that data is sent across a server over to China. And, people, I think people actually forget that China is a communist country. And what do they do with that information? Well, they use it to snoop. You give them permission. I don't think people realize when you download an item onto your phone, just like when you're on the internet searching for pornography to jerk off to, you're exchanging data. You're exchanging information. Those websites want to know you. Why do you think when you go to Amazon and you're looking at the latest, pair of headphones, and then you hop on your computer? Well, why is it showing you all of these things when you go to websites and websites load up and things are in the background? Why does that information show up there? Well, it shows up there because you were looking for it. You allow these people to sniff around your computer. Those cookies that your computer exchanges with other websites, and they tell you, hey, you can't come to this website because you haven't allowed us to look around your PC. We want to know what you're browsing. We want to know what you're looking at so we can sell your information. Well, that's exactly what TikTok does. They take your information and they use it to gain knowledge about you. Every website out there on the internet does it. And you allow them to when you download it. Like when you go and you download, let's say, a new application for your phone. Apple, if you're using an Apple device, it wants to know if you will allow them to look at your shit. You're on an Android phone. Well, it wants to look in your phone and see what you're doing. It wants to snoop around. And you have to give it permission so you can use that. Even when you pay for the damn thing, it still does that. Most people don't realize that. See, one of the big things that I made a lot of money off of in the past was people downloading shit on their computer and wondering why their computer was inundated with all of this information, why you were getting pop-up ads and why there were extra things in your browser. Well, because you're in such a hurry to download that application for your PC or your phone that you didn't realize that you just gave it access. Hell, you even gave it root access, so it got deeper and deeper into your phone or computer. There's a reason why you should not just click, click, click. Anyway, I agree 155% that TikTok is a great app. It's a lot of fun. But it's also a huge, huge risk. And I understand. Like, I said to myself, well, why is the United States so worried about TikTok? And what is the big deal? We've got people on the streets strung out on heroin and trank and all these other things going on, but yet the United States of America is worried about a data breach with China. Well, why wouldn't they be? So I don't know. Sometimes you just have to ask yourself, what is the importance? Why is it so important? So I just thought that I would bring that up. Honestly, do I care if the United States says no more TikTok. No, not really, because there's other applications that you can use. There's another application out there called Clapper. It's almost exactly alike. It looks completely identical. And the algorithm is almost exactly the same. It just says Clapper. It doesn't say TikTok. And, the guy that is the spokesman for the application, he's telling you, he sounds to me like Joe Biden. Almost completely, I don't know. He looks like a deer in headlights when you listen to the guy talk. I don't know what his name is, but I know it's not as snazzy or schnazzy as what's the other app? Instagram. It's, in my opinion, I think Instagram is just a better app in general. It's through Facebook, and Facebook, they're snoops too, but everyone that has an application out that wants access to your device is snooping on your phone. They know the last time you whacked your pud to little people porn or whatever you were looking at. They know what you're looking at, and they want access to your phone and to any of your electronic devices that are connected to the internet, because they want to get in there and they want to know what you're doing. Think about it. Every time you go to a website, you go to Walmart.com and you order yourself sandwiches and a pair of underwear. They want to know what kind of meat you're eating. Amazon does the same thing. So does eBay. They all do the same thing. The only difference is they're not communist country. And there's a lot of people that don't like the app because it is owned by Chinese people. And it's not because they don't like Chinese people. They fear the government of China. Whether or not you believe it or not, it is owned by a communist country. China is communist. And, the other thing is 95% of the shit that we own in our homes is, I've got many, many radios here. A lot of them are made in China, and a couple of them are made in Japan. The microphones are made in China. The mounting bracket is made in China. Hell, I've got a Zygu G90 sitting over here that is made in China. Communist China. So, China knows what we're buying and selling. They know a lot, but I don't know. I understand that a lot of people are making money off of TikTok. Selling products, selling really crappy products. I'm guilty of it myself. I've got a pair of headphones over here that I ordered back in either November or December. Lenovo. Great little set of headphones. Got a long life on it. Made in China. Your iPhone, made in China. Your Samsung, 95% of the products that are made that are in that device, some of them are made in Japan, the rest are made in China. Your computer monitor, probably made in China. Your TV, probably made in China. The stereo in your car, probably made in China. So, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this. So, do I think that the United States government is going to ban TikTok in the United States? Probably not anytime soon. They're going to force them to sell the company to an American company. Someone is going to take over it. And what will China do with that money? Find another way to spy on the U.S. That's what they do. That's what communist people do. They control their population, and they don't allow you to be a free thinker. They control you. I don't know what else to say. I really don't. It's a fun app. Don't get me wrong. I love the app. I've had hours and hours of fun doing lives on there. I've been shut down because I was talking about people who like to come on and spew hate. I don't agree with hate. I don't like that. I had my live privileges taken away from me 7 times for defending people who were gay and jumping on somebody for coming in and saying that, I won't even repeat the words because it's just not, it's not cool. But I was defending that, and I got my live privileges taken away for that. And they want to say that they allow you to speak freely and this, that, and the other, and they really don't. They really don't. For everything that is good about the app, there's at least 150 things that is bad about the app. The fact that they track anything and everything you do on there, and the way that they try to control what you do on there is just completely bullshit. And the way that they pay people out is even worse. There's just so many negative things that are on that app. I mean, what are some other things that you can think of off the top of your head that are bad about TikTok?
I think like one of the things is the way information is like. So for an example, you'll see like things that are definitely adult, directed towards children.
Right.
That's one massive thing I feel like, because the way of just like it being sent and being like it facilitates that kind of stuff for those people. Not only that, but the way how they are with just their algorithm, how lucrative it is, how they can quickly keep you on there. That's
and that's just it. That's something that we were discussing earlier. Is they want you to stay on that app. They don't want you to put the app down. Yeah, they're going to tell you when you're doing a live, hey, you've been on here 2.5 hours, that maybe you should give it a rest. Why do I need you to tell me to take a friggin' rest? If I'm on here having a good time, people are interacting, they're making money off of me because they're snooping into my phone and stealing all of my data and selling it off to whoever wants it. Why should it matter how long I'm on TikTok talking to some guy about a ham sandwich or whatever I'm doing? I mean, really, people think about it. And I don't think that, and this is probably going to sound real mean of me, but I don't think that the average person takes the time to think about that. Think about it. I mean, what else can I say? A lot of negativity. A lot of bad has come from that app. And now if you go on TikTok, say you deleted it and you decided, you know what, I want to go back on TikTok and I want to watch videos about people planting trees or flowers or whatever. The number one thing, aside from watching people plant flowers and trees, the number one thing you're going to find is that algorithm is going to find things that are similar to that, and they're going to target advertisements towards that, and you're going to find people making little bracelets and beads and shit like that, and you will be inundated with those dumb fucking ads of people on doing lives talking about planting trees and flowers. And you will be forever haunted by that shit. And now the number one thing that people are doing on TikTok, aside from just random videos, is they're selling things. And they're selling items that TikTok wants to target Americans to buy. These shitty $8 ripoff of Apple Watches that do a third of what they do, and they will probably last you about a month and a half until they break. That's what TikTok is doing. And what do they do with your information? Well, what do they do with your information, Dylan?
Who knows? They could use it for anything.
They could use it for anything.
They could use it. It's just the way it's just so out there, and it's just like this information. And now, yes, they do claim that, yes, if, they have a place in Singapore and they try to associate themselves without it. But the people who own TikTok are a company called ByteDance.
Yes.
And they, who knows? If you're running the company in China, the thing is by law, you basically have, if the Chinese government wanted to ever interfere, and we wouldn't know because they wouldn't tell us that.
Right.
They could go in there and interfere. So who knows where that
Yep.
data is? Who knows where that data is going?
Yep.
Because you can sit and claim that it's in, Singapore,
Right.
Los Angeles, all these other places, but at the same time, though, who is the head of that all?
Right.
ByteDance.
Okay, so
Just saying.
now this is coming from a 23-year-old man.
A comp sci major.
That's coming from a 23-year-old man. And me, I call him a 23-year-old kid because he's a kid. But this is a guy that has taken the time to read the information. People, do you understand why when you download something on your phone, there's information to be gathered? Do you realize that? Do you realize that when you sign up to start a brand new Facebook, there is a thing called a Terms of Service Agreement. And that Terms of Service Agreement is a contract that you sign agreeing that you allow Facebook to track a portion of your data. That you agree that you will not use Facebook to target, attack people, anything like that. Things that are bad, calling someone out, making fun of someone's sexual orientation or the color of somebody's skin or something like that. That is called a Terms of Service Agreement. You agree upon that. Just like when you sign up for a credit card, you agree that this is the APR, this is how much you pay a month, and you agree to pay on time each month. Well, when you sign up for TikTok, read the fine print, people. Read it. It's there for a reason. And, man, I would assume that the vast majority of what they make you agree to is probably bullshit. And I can guarantee about half of it's bullshit. Just like when you buy a cheap piece of shit product that, for less than what it's supposed to be, you're buying shit. You get what you pay for. So I'm going to tell you this much. I'll tell you this much. I am going to watch and wait to delete my TikTok because I want to see exactly what is going to happen. Everybody on TikTok is whining to the U.S. government, calling their congressmen and this, that, and the other. Do you really think for 5 minutes that your government here in the U.S. gives a flying fuck whether you like or dislike them? Do you think that your government here gives a shit about that? Probably not. But it is your right as an American to speak against it. And I agree 100%. And, look, let's just be honest. Our government failed us when it came to that. They failed us when they allowed this company to take control of our telephones. It was shot down back in, 2022? If I'm not mistaken? Yeah, around that time. And I want to say this is times 2. So we're going to see what happens. We'll see what happens with this ban of TikTok. And it's all over the internet. People on TikTok are whining, this is how I make a living because I can't work. And it subsidizes my income. And go to Clapper, people. Go to Clapper. Clapper's a better platform. It's all around better app. The people on there are cool. There's a little something for anyone and everybody. Just being honest. Go check out Clapper. Clapper. You can get it on any of the markets. Fuck, they've even got Clapper on the Amazon market thing. It's a way better app. And there's just a lot more things that you can do as an adult. This is pretty much, for what it's worth, this is an app that is targeted towards adults, okay? So if you're a kid and you're going to get on there, you're probably going to have to lie about your age. But it's a better app. And it's a better community. I've had a lot of fun on there. I currently don't have it installed on my phone. because I just kind of gave up on that stuff. I don't care for how do I say? I just don't care for those apps anymore. When I go in to take a dump, I look at my phone, and I'm usually scrolling through Instagram. Reels are on Facebook. I know I'm old. I'm an old man rambling. Yes, I still have Facebook on my phone. I also still use, it's called X now. And, yeah. So there's plenty of other apps out there. I know that they're not as snazzy as TikTok is, but then, these apps aren't inundating you and your information isn't being given to people that you really don't want it to go to. But there is an alternative to to TikTok. It's called Clapper. Clapper, I believe is the name of the app. Yeah, it's Clapper. I could be wrong on how it's spelled, but this is a predominantly an adult-oriented app. There's some pretty risque shit on there, but it is targeted towards people, over the age of 18. So good people on there, a better group of people. So a lot of people are saying, well, if they get rid of TikTok, I'm just going to go back to Instagram and I'll hang out there and do my stuff, or I'll just go exclusively to YouTube. And then they'll come to YouTube and they'll cry about YouTube and how bad YouTube is. Well, YouTube's its own company. If they don't want you on there spewing hatred and stuff like that, they're not going to have it on their community. That's just how it works out, folks. It's a big world, and there's lots of alternatives to everything. So, and it just so happens that the vast majority of the people are here on this platform, and so on and so on and so on. So, yes, again, I do occasionally use profanity, but this is my blab for today. We're going to call this episode number 1, TikTok going bye-bye. So, I would suggest checking out Clapper. I'm not getting paid by Clapper. Clapper's not in my pocket. Boy, that coffee smells good. What else can I say? What else do you guys want to know about me? You have any questions, please feel free to hit me up, whatever you want to do. I'm all over the internet. All over the internet. What are my hobbies? Amateur radio. I love communication. Communication is a great thing. And that little thing that we all are connected digitally to, and we go take a shit with it in our hands. We meet women from the internet, or men, or whatever our preferences are. That's how we do it. We meet through a phone. Okay? So when that phone that you have is no longer available, you can't use it. Well, I've got my radios. And the vast majority of those radios are not connected to a repeater or via the internet. I do have internet-connected radios that are connected to a network at some hub somewhere around the world. But when those radios don't work and the internet's gone, I will have my other radios. Yes, I am a radio enthusiast. I am a huge fan of radios, and I also enjoy music. Not just death metal, not just great bands like Slayer and, all the dad metal that kids are calling it now. And I play World of Warcraft. And in fact, when I'm done here, I'm going to go play World of Warcraft. I am going to bitch and complain about how bad the community is and how fucking bad I hate that game. But I will continue to spend $14.99 each month and bitch about it. And how soon before they change the price? Any time, Dylan? What do you think?
Well, who knows? It could happen.
Yeah.
Anytime soon.
Yeah.
We'll see that.
By the way, Dylan's my 23-year-old son. And I'm going to get him on this podcast one day because I think you guys will really like him. So anyway, my name is Tim. And I call this podcast The Old Man Rambling. If you have any questions you want to have answered, please feel free to send them in the descriptor there. I don't know. I may go ahead and do a a video version of this podcast. I really don't like it. I was always told that I have a face for radio. Yeah, I have a face for radio. And definitely I don't like doing video podcast. So there are some videos of me out there. You can watch me on here on YouTube on my other channel. N6PUD is my amateur call sign. I also have a JMRS call sign. So I would imagine at one point I'm going to probably have, I'll probably do a podcast that has to do with amateur radio. And believe it or not, folks, the year is 2024 and I still use a CB radio. I'm listening to Channel 19 right now in my area here. Where do I live? I live in Lakeland Village, California, which is right next to Lake Elsinore and Wildemar. That's where I live. So if you're an amateur operator and you found my podcast, there's my call sign. And damn, I am very happy that you decided to come along and listen to my stupid voice. I am the old man rambling here, and have a wonderful day. Thank you for tuning in. And have a wonderful week. Episode number 1, Old Man Rambling Podcast. All the music that you hear on this podcast comes from the fine folks over at purple-planet.com. Purple-planet.com. Go over there and take a look. It's a great site. And they have a lot of music that you can use, you can buy, you can lease, whatever you want to do with it. Once you own it, it's yours. But I use it with permission. So have a great week. Buenas noches.